Universitas Indonesia.
Selamat datang di Universitas Indonesia. Sesuai dengan peraturan Rektor Universitas Indonesia, kami dari UPT Keselamatan, Kesehatan Kerja dan Lingkungan akan menyampaikan induksi keselamatan. Saat ini kita sedang berada di Balai Sidang Universitas Indonesia. Sebelum melakukan aktivitas di gedung ini, penting untuk kita mengetahui prosedur keselamatan apabila terjadi keadaan darurat. Terdapat dua potensi keadaan darurat yang mungkin terjadi, yaitu kebakaran dan gempa bumi. Terdapat dua pintu utama yang terletak di bagian depan pada sisi kanan dan sisi kiri. Serta terdapat dua pintu darurat di bagian belakang pada sisi kanan dan sisi kiri. Gunakan dua pintu utama sebagai jalur evakuasi bagi Anda yang duduk di bagian depan. Dan gunakan dua pintu darurat sebagai jalur evakuasi bagi Anda yang duduk di bagian belakang. Jika terjadi kebakaran, tetap tenang dan jangan panik. Segera informasikan lokasi sumber api kepada petugas. Jika mampu, padamkan api menggunakan apar yang berada di dalam gedung. Terdapat dua alat pemadam api ringan pada ruangan ini yang terletak di sisi bagian kanan dan sisi bagian kiri. Segera lakukan evakuasi menuju pintu darurat terdekat. Petugas kami akan memandu Anda ke titik berkumpul. Utamakanlah ibu hamil, lansia, anak-anak, atau rekan-rekan yang memiliki penyakit. Titik berkumpul berada di lapangan rotunda. Jika terjadi gempa bumi, mohon tetap tenang dan jangan panik. Segera jatuhkan badan dan lindungi diri Anda. Lakukan drop, cover, and hold on, dan tetap bertahan hingga keadaan kondusif. Segera lakukan evakuasi menuju pintu darurat terdekat. Petugas kami akan memandu ke titik berkumpul. Sangat penting untuk kita melindungi kesehatan diri sendiri dan orang lain demi menghentikan penyebaran virus COVID-19. Utamakan berkegiatan secara daring dengan terlebih dahulu melakukan vaksinasi lengkap dan tes COVID-19. Melakukan pengukuran suhu tubuh sebelum memasuki ruangan atau memulai kegiatan. Jika Anda merasa sedang tidak sehat, demam, sesak nafas, dan batuk, mohon untuk tidak memaksakan diri untuk masuk ke dalam ruangan. Selalu menggunakan masker double atau masker medis triplai dan masker kain selama berada dalam ruangan dan saat berkegiatan. Selalu menjaga jarak dengan radius 1,5 meter pada segala arah, baik samping kanan, kiri, maupun dari depan dan belakang, terutama dalam pengaturan posisi duduk. Melakukan cuci tangan menggunakan sabun dan air mengalir ataupun hand sanitizer sesering mungkin, terutama sebelum dan sesudah berkegiatan. Tutup mulut dan hidung saat batuk atau bersin dengan menggunakan siku bagian dalam dan tidak menggunakan telapak tangan. Perhatikan batas waktu berkegiatan di dalam ruangan dengan memberikan jeda setiap 2 jam untuk dapat keluar ruangan terlebih dahulu. Selalu berhati-hati saat melangkah karena terdapat potensi tersandung akibat sandungan kabel yang melintang dan lantai licin. Gunakan pegangan tangga saat menaiki dan menuruni tangga. Sesuai dengan peraturan rektor, seluruh warga yang berada di lingkungan Universitas Indonesia dilarang merokok. Lokasi toilet berada di sisi kanan dan kiri gedung. Jagalah kebersihan sekitar Anda dan buanglah sampah pada tempat yang disediakan. Terima kasih atas perhatian Anda dan selamat melanjutkan aktivitas.
This is Indonesia, a land of immeasurable diversity, a land that offers vast opportunities. This is the nexus of hopes and aspirations from across the archipelago.
Bersama, kami berikan kontribusi nyata lewat inovasi, karya cipta, dan pencapaian lain sesuai bidang ilmu. Dari UI, untuk Indonesia yang toleran, unggul, dan bermartabat.
Welcome to Universitas Indonesia. Since our beginnings, Universitas Indonesia has been continually evolving and building upon our achievements. We have become the biggest, best, and leading university in Indonesia and also Asia. Here at Universitas Indonesia, the best and brightest from across the region come to study. From diverse backgrounds, we built an intellectual community that enriches and enhances humanity. For superior generations, Universitas Indonesia provides world-class learning facilities. We implement state-of-the-art technology for research and industrial development. Our campus is accessible to all, also to the disabled. This is our commitment for realizing an inclusive educational environment. Universitas Indonesia is fully supported by environmentally friendly transportation and sustainable energy systems. We take pride in being a green and sustainable campus. Universitas Indonesia partners with relevant stakeholders to facilitate and provide ease of comfort for day-to-day activities for all our academic community. We recognize that each individual is unique, with unique talents and interests. As such, Universitas Indonesia provides opportunities for every individual to develop themselves to their fullest. Universitas Indonesia provides and fully supports students with great facilities and activities so that students are able to develop and grow to become their best. Together, we embrace our diversity to grow the future together. For Indonesia, for the world. Universitas Indonesia. Unity in diversity. Universitas Indonesia. Veritas, Probitas, Justisia.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated now. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good morning and welcome to Universitas Indonesia, one of the oldest universities in Asia that is steadily growing into a modern center of a sophisticated multicultural university. It is an honor for me to inform you that among us here, we have in our presence His Excellency, Mr. Robert Dijkgraaf, Minister of Education, Culture, and Science of the Netherlands, His Excellency, Mr. Lambert Grijns, Dutch Ambassador in Indonesia, Professor Ari Kunchoro, SE, MA, PhD, Rector of Universitas Indonesia, Dr. Agustin Kusumayati, MSc, PhD, Secretary to the University, Professor Dr. Abdul Haris, Vice Rector of Academic and Student Affairs, Deans and Directors of Universitas Indonesia's faculties, and last but not least, Directors and Delegates from the Netherlands. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Quinta Alaya Emirsha. I am an International Relations undergraduate student from the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, and I will be your Master of Ceremony for today's event. Before we proceed, I would like to kindly ask all attendees to please silence your mobile phones during this public lecture and always wear a mask. Distinguished guests, the Netherlands and Indonesia have a long history for mutual development through research and educational cooperation, including exchange, scholarships, and skill training. In accordance to that, today we will listen to a public lecture from His Excellency, Mr. Robert Dijkgraaf, the Minister of Education, Culture, and Science of the Netherlands, and gain insight on how to further strengthen the existing and future cooperation in the field of research and science between Indonesia and the Netherlands. Our agenda today is as follows. First, we will listen to the welcoming remarks from Director of Universitas Indonesia, Professor Ari Kunchoro. Second, we will listen to the public lecture by Minister Robert Dijkgraaf with the theme of Making Lives Better, Giving Opportunities to Knowledge. Next, there will be an exchange of token of appreciation and a photo session. Upcoming next, there will be a closing speech by the Acting Vice Dean for Academic and Research and Student Affairs of the Faculty of Humanities, Dr. Untung Yuwono. And lastly, we will have a roundtable session between the academic delegation of the Netherlands and also Universitas Indonesia's faculties. To begin the function, as the host of this public lecture, the Rector of Universitas Indonesia will deliver the welcoming remarks. To Professor Ari Kunchoro, the podium is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and warm greeting from the UI campus at the Depok City, Indonesia. His Excellency Minister Robert Dijkgraaf, Honorable Ambassador Mr. Lambert Grijns, Honorable Rector and delegates from the Netherlands, Honorable UI Secretary to the University, Vice Rector, Dean, and the member of the Board of Trustees, Academic Senate, the Professor Council, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to have the opportunity to welcome Minister Dijk Graaf this morning. We warmly welcome you and all delegates to our campus here at Depok City. This visit may not be the first time to some of you, so I'm very pleased to welcome you back after almost 2 years of border restrictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In this year, for the first time, Indonesia holds the G20 presidency, prime forum where 20 of the world's major economies gather together to bring up the full potential of global collaboration, as well as to take to the reality of the many global issues humanity is facing now. As a higher education institution in tackling those challenges, we believe in collaboration to fostering knowledge, research, science, and culture with partners from around the world. In that regard, our cooperation with the DOT institution is extensive. We managed to establish cooperation with 26 DOT institutions covering many schemes, including double and joint degree program, student and staff exchange, joint research, and capacity building. Our faculties are the core player, as most of our faculties involved in this collaborative scheme. In terms of academic exchange, within the period of 2019 and 2022, despite the pandemic, we maintain considerably high number of activities. We had 333 inbound and outbound staff conducting activities with partners from the Netherlands. In terms of student mobility, we have 552 incoming and outgoing students under a number of activities, such as student exchange, double degree transfer, government scholarship, student mobility, and cultural exchanges. Your Excellency, Minister of Education, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to emphasize the importance of the connection between us as educators and researchers to extend our network. I do hope that statistic is not just a number. It is a modality, an asset for us to lay of even stronger foundation to help our students reach their full potential, not only academic degree, but also cognitive skills, positive attitude, and global skills. People connection foster spirit of understanding and open new opportunities. Understanding problem, different perspective, and awareness of the world around us is important to deliver impactful research. Our connection is a key to build even stronger network that provide us with resources to work together in collaborative action. Your Excellency Minister, the theme of your public letter today is making life better, giving opportunity to knowledge. It will be an inspiring one. It will shine light to the way on how we can go further, empower ourselves to foster knowledge that will turn into action to address real issues in our world. We are here together today to listen to your insight. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Dutch Minister of Education, Culture and Science, His Excellency Robert Dijk Graaf. Please give big applause.
Dear Mr. Rector, dear Senate, Excellencies, professors, researchers, and perhaps foremost, students. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great pleasure and honor to be here with you today. We are here with a delegation of Dutch knowledge institutions, and it's a wonderful experience to see not only our deep past relations, I would say the wonderful present relation, because there's so many researchers, teachers, students, university administrators that share their friendships, their stories, their visits to the Netherlands. But I think most of all, we are so excited about the future, about how we can build and strengthen the relations between our nations, which is in many ways a beautiful complementary relation. So this knowledge mission gives us the chance to celebrate and reaffirm that relations. As we know, there has been many useful and successful cooperations in many fields, in education, in research, in science. And I must say, it's so wonderful to build a friendship on the basis of knowledge. Because honestly, I've been my whole life in academics. As a professor of theoretical physics, now as a minister, but I must say if the one reason why you can be optimistic in this world is to meet students and see that your enthusiasm, your commitment, your engagement with the world, I think gives us all hope that we can actually overcome these great challenges. It's, I think, one of the few reasons why we can be positive. Often it's said in research that we are living in the most exciting times. And actually, I think for the past many years, every year you could have said it was the most exciting time. Because research and education is one of the few fields that keeps on growing and growing and growing. And so you can be really optimistic. I'm jealous, particularly of the students, of the many exciting developments, breakthroughs, insights that you will have in the future. So I think education and research are key to our progress, perhaps the only real key. It's true for us as a person, we can grow and learn. It's true for us as a nation, and it's true for us as a global community. So we definitely need our students, our educators, our researchers, our scientists to give their best efforts to ensure that our future planet is a place worth living in. And on our journey towards a more healthier, happier, more peaceful planet, the only way we can do that is to do it together. Now, the world has global challenges, so it also needs global solutions. Only together we can tackle these worldwide societal challenges and learn from each other. That's why it's important for us to be here. That's why I'm so honored to speak here in this very prestigious location at this wonderful university. And so we're very proud to be here. And I want to congratulate UI on all your wonderful achievements, Mr. Rector. And you must be very proud of leading this great university. It's interesting to be in research. As I said, I've been a theoretical physics, and I often say in theoretical physics, we are very lucky that we know exactly what we don't know. So all you can learn in your lectures, everything you can see around, everything that's known in physics only accounts for 5% of the universe. So 95% of the universe we know, we don't know. We give it names, it's called a dark matter, dark energy. These are just beautiful names to camouflage our ignorance. So often when I meet colleagues in other fields like economics, I ask them, what's your percentage of dark matter? I know that 95% I don't understand. How much do you not understand? And I think actually understanding 5% is quite an achievement. So I think that's what we do. There's huge areas of knowledge to be explored. And in my experience, the greatest scientists and scholars often were incredibly modest. in indicating how much they do not understand. So perhaps the greatest physicist ever, Isaac Newton, said that he felt only like a child walking along the beach, collecting some shells, perhaps a few more beautiful than others. But he was very much aware there was an ocean of ignorance, an unknown ocean in front of him. And I think actually that's what we are as a world. We are about to explore that vast ocean of unknown facts, of connections, and I think actually in that ocean lie the solutions to many of our problems. Another physicist, Feynman, said, you know, it's a little bit like you observing a game of chess without anybody you telling what the rules are. So you see the pieces move, and suddenly you realize, wait a moment, there's a certain rule, and then suddenly something crazy happens, and you have to add another rule. So I think actually that being in the field of knowledge creation, the fact that we actually are always confronted with the unknown, what we do not yet understand, makes our world so exciting. That's why it's so exciting to be at the university, that's so exciting to do research, that's actually exciting to be a Minister of Education. Because you know, only when we invest in research and education you generate new insights, now and in the future, and that's why we can be hopeful that we can actually you know, make humanity a better place, in some sense, you know, win the chess game, so to say, after we understand the rules. So what can we do to keep increasing the volume of our knowledge that we have at our disposal? And more specifically, what can we do on behalf of Indonesia and the Netherlands to work together to give knowledge the opportunity to make our life better? What preconditions do we have to create? So there are many, but I would like today to mention 4 of them. First, the stronger connections between science and society. Second, I think there are many more opportunities for basic research, for fundamental research than we realize. Thirdly, a little bit like the mirror image, the utilization of knowledge, the applications of knowledge. And finally, I would like to impress the importance of international collaboration. So, first allow me to stress how important it is that we connect science and society. Now, knowledge can only improve our lives if society recognizes and values how important the product of research are, and society is able to absorb and to actually utilize these insights. So only if a society endorses that science is indispensable for a better and safe and healthy future, this can work. And science does that in 2 ways. I think it certainly creates possibilities to improve our lives, but I think also in a more broader sense, it has the power to open up our eyes, our minds, and our hearts to help people find out that the future is a place of hope. In fact, you know, the values of research and science should be values of our society. You know? Understand what is known and what's not known. Dealing with uncertainties, having an open mind, you know, be critical. These are indispensable qualities for a society that we would like to live in. Now, I want to sketch a paradox, because I would say knowledge is at the same time getting closer to our lives and it's moving away. Now, obviously, you know, at this point in history, technology and science are becoming more and more impactful and finding new applications. Technology becomes much more intertwined with our everyday lives. So, much of your life will be on your cell phone, which is very close to you. I hope all of us have the vaccine, so some of the most innovative products of new, modern biomedical research are literally inside our bodies. And so we never ever have been so dependent on technology, I think, as this time in the history of the planet. So it's everywhere around us. But, you know, paradoxically, sometimes science also seems to disappear further and further beyond the view of the general public, because how many of us do really understand what's happening in our phones? How many of us really understand what is actually the ingredients of modern biotechnology? So in all its complexity, it can be very difficult for people to understand. So I don't know of any sector in society that brings so many good news to millions of people as science. But yet it's also under pressure. There is a certain risk that on the one hand, science will be integrated and will be determining most of our lives. On the other hand, it will be kind of a black box that we do not understand and that might not even want to embrace. So I think that knowledge gap between the latest frontier in research and where society is has to be closed. It doesn't make sense to invest in knowledge and technology if society is not able to absorb that knowledge, understand the knowledge, and truly appreciate it. So that means that we have to not only invest in research and knowledge, but also in ways to communicate that, to engage with the public, to explain what is going on, and somehow build a bridge between what research will do and where the public is. And this is only possible when, as an academic community, we are open and transparent. We allow society to see what happens, share our insights, share our data, share the way we work, and include civil society organizations and citizens themselves into the collaboration of businesses, of governments, and of knowledge institutes. So let's always remind each other, when and where science and research move quickly, I would say openness, transparency, and be fully, explain what these innovations are and what the significance is of the greatest importance. Because, wouldn't it be a shame when finally we would have, some of the fundamental solutions to our great challenges, whether it's, the climate challenge or biodiversity, or public health, or agriculture, and society wouldn't be able to absorb these insights. So I think we have to invest more in connecting everything we do at our universities to the public at large. The second thing I want to highlight is the importance of basic research. Now, I like to say that knowledge is the only natural resource that grows when you use it. And it's something perhaps the rarest of natural resources. Every day we know more than yesterday. That's the wonderful thing to be work in this community. And science lays the foundation for all the major societal transformations that happened in the past and will happen in the future. And it's absolutely essential to do so. We do not know what the future will hold, and we do not know what kind of solutions we need. Therefore, I think, we should realize by looking in the past that some of the greatest breakthroughs happened not because people were eagerly trying to find a solution, but just as the outcome of curiosity, of just the inquisitiveness, just researchers who wanted to find out how the world works. And there are incredible number of examples of this, and sometimes it's very difficult to realize that a major transformation just happened. It's an interesting fact, when the first electric light bulb was switched on by Edison, it was actually done in the editorial room of the New York Times. So you might say this is the beginning of the electric age. We can't even imagine a world without electricity anymore. So you might expect that that day, the headline of the newspaper was beginning of the electric age. No, it was a very small item. It was on page 8, and it said electric lights, they're a little bit like gas lights, but they do not smell. And that was it. So it took a long time for people to absorb what a major transformation that was. I worked for the past 10 years at an institute in Princeton where John von Neumann, the famous mathematician, basically built the first modern computer. He did that just because he was interested in mathematical logic. He had no idea that he would transform the world by this calculating machine. And famously, people said at that time, well, the world might need 4 or 5 of these computers and then we would be all set. So it's extremely difficult to realize. When we are all now have been benefiting tremendously with the results of biomedical research. The new vaccines are based on a technology, messenger RNA technology, that was developed in the 1980s. It could only be developed because in the 1950s, researchers were interested to find the molecular structure of life, of the DNA molecule. Why did they want to understand this? Just because they were curious. And they had no idea that more than 70 years later, this would actually be a solution that would save millions and millions of lives. If that research hadn't happened, the best thing that we could have done when the COVID pandemic hit was build a time machine, go back to the 1950s and ask somebody, well, you better investigate the molecular structure of this DNA molecule. It might prove to become very useful in the past. I wrote a little book with the title, The Usefulness of Useless Knowledge. I dare you to find a breakthrough in science that is truly useless. Because when you make a fundamental breakthrough, in the end, there could be terrific applications there. In fact, I would say it doesn't really make sense to distinguish between useless and useful research. A famous chemist said, there's only applied and not yet applied research. And so if we think about how we want to educate our students, how we want to build our research, I think we should take an example of people in the financial world who will not invest in one particular stock or one particular financial instrument, but they have a portfolio. They invest in many things. Some are high risk, high rewards, others are very practical and immediate. And I think it's very important that collectively, as a world community, we also keep investing in basic research that in 10 or 20 years might save lives, might completely change our world. That is something that's not yet foreseen. But as I said, it's not only about basic research. The third component I want to talk about, the precondition, is to allow knowledge to help improve our lives. And usually we think of a long time period, like the time period when the basic structure of DNA was discovered and these modern vaccines were created. One of the things we see in the present world is that the time from a fundamental breakthrough to applications getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So we can be very optimistic that many of our research breakthroughs find applications within a generation, perhaps within 10 years. So science also drives innovation. It drives growth, not only of knowledge, but also economic growth, sustainable economic growth, and the constant progress of economies. They are all inextricably linked. And Indonesia and Netherlands are both also more and more knowledge economies. And I think there's a challenge. There's actually a challenge in Indonesia that is not very dissimilar as our challenge in the Netherlands, is not only to build academic research, but also make sure that our companies and our industrial R&D also increases. So I think the modern way to do so is to build kind of ecosystems where both academic institutions, companies, non-profit organizations can share their insights and work together. And one thing we have learned, that the linear model, when there is a breakthrough in research and then you wait a long time and you find some application, that's no longer, I think, the prevalent model. What you see much more these days is fundamental research builds new instruments, new applications that then again drive new discoveries. So it's a much more a circular model that has to be engaged. So I'm very happy that we're here with our academic institutions. But I think we should not forget also the business side of it. And if we are able, both in Indonesia and in the Netherlands, to increase the use of research and knowledge in our industries, in our companies, actually that will also be an important ingredient in finding the solutions that we need to address our global issues. So I think this is something that we can discuss further. It's absolutely key in getting a vibrant knowledge society. And so I think actually, we're all incredibly touched by the optimism in this country, the opportunities. Now you have such tremendous possibilities to grow in these in both in the academic public part and in the private part, that it would be wonderful for us to cooperate in this. And fourth and finally, I want to say a few words about international cooperation. This knowledge mission, and in these days here that we are together in your beautiful country, these are part of a much larger approach in the Netherlands, our international knowledge and talent strategy of my Ministry of Education, Culture and Science. That aims to make education, research and science an integral part of the Dutch foreign policy and diplomatic representation. And in that sense, we are extremely proud that this first knowledge mission actually is to Indonesia. In some sense, you are literally, for this government, our first destination. And I hope you appreciate this and you see this as an indication of the importance that we address to this link. So again, one of the wonderful things of being an academic is that whether you study economics or you study health or you study physics, is that you're not studying Indonesian economics or Dutch physics. No, you're part of an international community. That's the greatest thing, that's such a wonderful experience. And I think every student, every teacher, every researcher should be fully immersed in this worldwide community. And I must say there's a lot of criticism these days of globalization, but there's one area where international connections and globalization definitely works, and that's in education and research. It has been a wonder of my life to travel around the world, meet people who are just as enthusiastic about your research, love a topic as much, can keep talking forever and forever over a certain topic as you can, and are from completely different places. I think actually, sometimes we're all very proud of where we're born, of our roots, of where we start, but we should be careful not to think too much only in terms of our origins. You should also think in terms of your destinations. I'm sure for many of the students here coming to this wonderful university, one of the great pleasures is to meet your fellow students who come from very different places. But yeah, you have something in common, namely what you had in common is this destination. And I tell you, there are many other destinations in the world. I hope some of you will come to the Netherlands. And the great pleasure is to meet people from completely different parts of the world that actually come to the same place. And that you have something in common in the future, not only in the past. And I think that's a great gift that science and education can offer. And therefore we feel very strongly from the Netherlands that we want to focus our knowledge exchange and talent exchange, be that really a key part of our foreign relations. So how can we enhance talent development? How can we create more possibilities for the exchange of knowledge and expertise between our two countries? And how can we support excellence and quality? I think it's more urgent than ever that we continue to collaborate across borders. There are many borders. There are borders within universities. There are borders among research institutions and a border between countries. And I think it's our goal to transgress these borders. One of the great qualities of being in education is to think outside the box, step over a line, and I think that's in that spirit we feel very closely in the Netherlands that we not only want to do this, have these close relationships with our neighboring countries, not with the people who are physically nearby, but also friends which are, I would say, mentally nearby, that have this deep and lasting connection. So Indonesia is an important partner for us for international cooperation in the field of science and research and education. By the way, we'll underline this by introducing an education and science attaché to our mission. I'm very grateful that our ambassador is here. And that education attaché will start next year. And we are making many plans these days, and also the coming days, to enhance our collaboration with so many of the wonderful Indonesian institutions, and of course, first and foremost, the beautiful university that we are here. So often I think, what is the role of research and science? I think there are many of them, but one image I have is that, what are we? We are perhaps a little bit like the radar screen of society. One thing we do is we look further ahead. We see things that aren't yet, perhaps, on the agendas of politicians, of governments, of industry. One of the great things is that sometimes on the radar screen you see a little blip, and it's an indication of the future. So I feel why I'm so privileged to be here at the university, and particularly speak to the students here, that you're our radar screen. You might actually think of something that is a challenge that lies ahead that nobody sees, a new insight. You will be very privileged because you will be working with data and instruments and international connections that aren't here yet but will come. And so I think it should be natural for all of us, not just for all of us, by the way, everybody around the world, to make use of that radar screen and see what's out there. So I said, we should be proud in admitting what we do not understand, because actually that's what attracts us. So sometimes I have this image, you're walking through a mountain landscape, and you're asked to know what lies on the other side of the mountain. So I think there are two ways to find out, and these are the two superpowers that human beings have. So there are two superpowers I think we have. The first is our imagination. We can imagine things that aren't here yet. That's incredibly important. You might see the little blip on the radar screen and you might imagine there's something out there. I think that's like tunnel vision. It's the way we can look through barriers. We can see something that isn't here yet, but that might be here. That's a unique human skill. And it's particularly important skill for young people. Because everybody is here at the beginning of their career, that you have to imagine what your life will be. And so use that superpower whenever you can. The second superpower is your curiosity, which is the ability to climb over the mountain and actually see what's on the other side. So I think these two things are absolutely key. I think it's a precious role for universities to develop these skills, but it's also a great responsibility for you students to actually use these skills in the future, because I think if we do not use our imagination and our curiosity, we will not overcome these obstacles, we will not find the solutions. But if we do use them, I'm incredibly optimistic, not only optimistic of the future of Indonesia or the Netherlands, but actually optimistic for the future of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dijkgraaf, for the very inspiring lecture. We really appreciate the knowledge and information which have been given to us by you, and we hope that the educational cooperation between Indonesia and the Netherlands will continue to foster in the future. After this, we would like to kindly ask Mr. Dijkgraaf to come forward to the stage because Professor Ari Kunchoro, as director, will give you a token of appreciation. We kindly invite Professor Ari and Mr. Dijkgraaf to come forward. Thank you. And there is also a token of appreciation from the Netherlands to Universitas Indonesia. Thank you, Professor Ari and Mr. Dijkgraaf. You may return to your seats now. Upcoming next, we will have a photo session. I kindly ask all attendees in this auditorium to please stand up, and for the photographer, you may come forward to the stage to take the picture. Thank you very much. For the attendees on the left and right side of the auditorium, you can come forward to the middle, please. All right, we're gonna take the picture. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. Please hold your poses. All right, all good? Thank you. All good, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated again. Next, before we end this event, we will listen to a closing speech by the Acting Vice Dean for Academic, Research, and Student Affairs from the Faculty of Humanities, Dr. Untung Yuwono. To Dr. Untung, the podium is yours.
Your Excellency, the Netherlands Minister of Education, Culture and Science, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the Netherlands to Indonesia, the Honorable Rector of the Universitas Indonesia, Vice Rectors, Secretary of University, Deans, Professors, students, and our distinguished guests. Goedemorgen. Good morning. On behalf of the Dean, I would like to thank the Rector of the Universitas Indonesia who allowed the Faculty of Humanities to give the closing speech at this event. We have just heard the public lecture delivered profoundly by His Excellency, the Minister of Education, Culture and Science of the Netherlands. For us, the Faculty of Humanities, Universitas Indonesia, what the Minister has said about the wind of change, including in the advancement of academic collaboration between Indonesia and institutions in Netherlands, motivates us to continue developing Dutch studies, especially. At our faculty, we have the Dutch Studies program that we are proud of because it's the only Dutch Studies program in Indonesia and even in Southeast Asia. In addition, our faculty manages several undergraduate and postgraduate study programs that offer lectures and research opportunities on issues related to Indonesia and the Netherlands relationship. Regarding the development of Dutch studies at our Dutch Studies study program, we organize learning activities that aim to provide students with Dutch language proficiency with a minimum level of B1, leading to B2. In addition, our Dutch Studies program also teaches Dutch history, society, culture, linguistics, and literature. Thanks to the support from the Nederlandse Taalunie, our students have access to a great number of Dutch books in our university library collection. The asset is very valuable because the graduates of the Dutch Studies program are needed as a Dutch language specialist for examining Dutch archives through law and history perspectives even. We can say that all Dutch language teachers throughout Indonesia are graduates of our Dutch study programs here at Universitas Indonesia. The alumni of the Dutch Studies program can also work in various fields, including writers, journalists, biographers, lexicographers, and even novelists. Currently, 210 students are studying in the Dutch Studies program. The students' achievements at national and international levels are also encouraging. We are very excited that several of our students have been invited to participate in various student exchange activities, such as the Dutch Zomercursus summer course and the Overseas Mobility Program provided by the Indonesian International Student Mobility Awards, IISMA, a scholarship scheme program by the government of Indonesia. They are leaving for the Netherlands to study at Leiden University, University of Groningen, Radboud University, and Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. The COVID-19 pandemic has also had a significant impact on the Dutch Studies program at our faculty, especially in the halt of collaborations with various institutions in the Netherlands and Belgium, such as annual Zomercursus with Dutch native speakers as guest lecturers and regular training for our lecturers by lecturers from the Netherlands and Belgium. Thankfully, things have been improving this year as we have scheduled our lecturers to take courses for Dutch studies teachers or researchers and attend the Nederlandische International Meeting. Our faculty has also published a Scopus Index journal that collaborates closely with KITLV by organizing joint seminars and issuing a collaboration edition. Your Excellencies and our distinguished guests, finally, we would like to convey that our faculty passion does not stop at the proficiency in the Dutch language, but also in developing knowledge of the source language for reading old archives, such as knowledge of paleography and translation. It also extends not only to the fields of history and law, but also to other fields such as health and disaster, as it is relevant to the current contextual developments in which we need to develop interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary studies that aim to provide solutions to the problems faced by Indonesia. We believe that the visit from the Netherlands Minister of Education, Culture and Science and the Netherlands institutions and universities to the Universitas Indonesia will strengthen our relationship, particularly in the developing Dutch studies and Indonesian studies in relation to Netherlands. We hope op verdere productieve vruchtbare samenwerkingen. We really look forward to further productive and fruitful mutual cooperation. Hartelijk bedankt. Thank you very much. Yesterday I learned hard to pronounce these Dutch words. from the head of that study program, Dr. Zahro Nuria. Where is that? Over there, Dr. Zahro Nuria. Thank you. And I'm ready to receive field as the result. Well, everyone, thank you very much. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Untung Yuwono, for your very wonderful speech. Distinguished guests, next we will have a roundtable group discussion between the academic delegation of the Netherlands and Universitas Indonesia faculties outside of this auditorium. Please allow me to read the table grouping for the discussion. On your right side, we have Table 1 and Table 2. Table 1 will be for the Health and Sciences faculties, which includes medicine, public health, pharmacy, nursing, and dentistry. And Table 2 will be for the Social and Humanities faculties, which includes Strategic and Global Studies, Psychology, and Environmental Science. On your left side, we have Table 3 and Table 4. Table 3 will be for the Faculty of Social and Humanities, which includes Law, Economics and Business, Administrative Sciences, and Vocational or Applied Program. Table 4 will be for the Science and Technology faculties, which includes Math and Natural Sciences, Engineering, and Computer Science. Afterwards, inside the holding room, there is Table 5 and Table 6. Table 5 will be for the Social and Political Sciences faculty, and also Table 6 will be for Humanities and Dutch Studies faculty. To the honorable deans and students that have been appointed to join the group discussion, please go to your assigned tables later on. Distinguished guests, on behalf of Universitas Indonesia, I would like to convey my deepest gratitude for your participation in this event, whether you are present in this auditorium or watching the stream from Universitas Indonesia's YouTube channel or UITV. Have a safe trip back home, and may we always be healthy during these trying times. My name is Quinta, and it has been an honor to be your Master of Ceremony for today. Thank you very much, and see you next time.